it's Becky, and I'm gonna do my weekly wrap up and chat. I have minimal makeup on, my hair's up, and it's kind of a mess, but you know what? We're doing it anyway because I didn't do it last week, and I need to catch up with y'all, show you what I made. Most of the things that I made on camera, but there were several things that I made off camera as well, so I'll show you those as well when we go through here. And the reason I didn't do a video last week is, well, two, maybe three reasons. The first is that I didn't have that many things to show you in my video last week. And the third is that I got very, very wrapped up in this show. It's the For All Mankind show, and so I was up like so late at night watching like all of those, just binge watching the whole thing, and I just was like, I can't stop this to go make a video. I just cannot. I'm done. I caught up. I don't need to watch that anymore, and so I've been able to make things. I just spent like 3 hours filming something today, and then twice as long uploading it to YouTube so that it can be gone. And that was just a part 2 of a bracelet bash thing that I did. But let's get started. Let's roll it back to a couple of weeks ago, because after I made my my last wrap up, which would have been 2 weeks ago, I made a bracelet with some beaded beads, and I used these beads from the Beads to Live By curated collection and some silver silk leather chain, and I just made a little bracelet with that. So I was wearing that, and that was one of the things that I made last week. And I had like a whole bunch of ideas, and there was this one project that I spent like 2 days planning it out and making it and filming it and going back and editing all of that together, and as soon as I was done with it, it didn't sit right. It was kind of wonky, and I didn't like that, and I started trying to get it to lay right, and I pulled on it a little too much and it broke, and that just kind of defeated me. It just like took all of the wind out of my sails, and I was like, well, okay, let's just not upload any videos tonight, and I'm just gonna go watch my show and work on some other stuff. And so I did work on some other stuff, and some of that other stuff that I worked on were things that I didn't design. They were tutorials that I followed, and I followed a tutorial from Stephanie at the what is it Bronze Pony? Bronze Pony is her YouTube channel, where she made these tutorials for these things that came using some of the beads that came in the Eureka Crystal Beads, the Crystal Waters collection. It's a really pretty collection of beads. So I followed her tutorial to make this necklace, and I followed her tutorial to make these earrings. Let me show you one that's a little bit closer, like this. So I was making things while I was, not making things on camera, and I made all of these, and they were a lot of fun to make, and she's really good at doing tutorials. I also followed one of her tutorials for Bracelet, and I made all the components, the individual component things, but I haven't put all the components together, so I'm not showing you that. But I mean, I did a lot of bead weaving while I was watching For All Mankind when I was doing that. I also did a lot of, I've got some partially completed projects. A lot of them are bead weaving projects from kits and things where like I started working on it, and then I had to go do something else, and I put it aside, and then I didn't pick it up again. I just started a new project. I have several of those. So some of you might be familiar with that type of creating. But then just to get myself back into creating and making things. This is all last week. This isn't this last week, is the week before. Just to get myself into that creative headspace, to make something that, was fresh and fun, and just make it easy on me to not have to challenge myself too much on something that maybe it won't work, like that one. I made myself a very simple, it's just a macrame necklace, and I used some of the beads from the curated bead box, and this was honestly like such such a needed and necessary project for me because it got me right back into being able to create and being able to make something and doing something, you know, that was kind of on the easy side, repetitive, something that I can follow easily and plan out. And then at the end of it, I had a thing that I made. And that really helped me get back into the creative headspace and to be able to do that. So then this week, since I was in that creative headspace and ready to go, I decided to use the Turtle Love bead kit and make myself some wire turtles, just some little wire wrapped turtles. And I'm gonna link the videos for this in the description, so don't worry, you can always find that. But I made these little, because this bead that came in the bead mix in the Soft Flex design kit, and if you guys can see it, it has the like the turtle shell impression on it, so it was the perfect little bead to put into my little turtly guys right there. And then I also made a necklace using one of the large beads that did it, and I made this one to go over the head. So no clasp, none of that, and still it's a fun thing to wear, and I love it. And it made me really happy to be able to have a plan that I worked out in my head work out in person in real life. I actually did one of them on my own before just to make sure it would work. And I was really happy that it did. So I had that. And then I also had, because the project that I tried making and it wasn't working, it was also one of those like Bridgerton inspired things, like that netting one that I did a while ago. So instead of trying to do that one again, I went with, you know, another plan that I had with it. And this one was using last month's bargain bead box. So this has the tropical heat things. Let's see how it looks on me. And on this one, I went ahead and did more of that like netting sort of thing. So something to wear when you are at a ball or something like that. So this was a fun thing to make, and it was really gratifying that again my ideas worked out again. So how do I undo the thing? There it is. I found it. The clasp had my hair. And then I grabbed my gemstone orphanage box because there were so many beautiful beads in there. And I wanted to use these twisted bugles again. I just love this, being able to get like kind of an illusion necklace effect using these twisted bugles, because then you get like this shiny sort of thing going on. And then I was able to use one of my favorite techniques with coin beads and tiny beads to make some earrings. And I made that with these. It fell off. Hold on. I will fix it. But first, let's show you the necklace and see how that looks on me before I fix my earrings. So we did that. And I also followed a tutorial from someone else to make some things. And it was this Omega chain. Steve and Debbie did a video on their channel with these, and I made more of the links. I have not finished putting them together to make them into a necklace. They also have a necklace tutorial. So I have the beads, I'm ready to make the links. I just need to put it together. It's one of those, I started it and then I didn't finish it because I got distracted and went on to something else situations, which again happens to me a lot. So after I did all of that, that is when I decided that it was actually after I opened up a couple of my new bead boxes that I decided I really, really wanted to make a bunch of bracelets. And that's what I did. I made a bunch of bracelets. And I also made this little guy. And the reason it's got a little curve is so I can hold it right here. And it's got a little hook on the end to hold a bracelet, part of a bracelet for me, so that I can get it hooked without struggling. So I'm going to show you some of my bracelets that I made. I made this one. It's a double strand bracelet with some dangles. And I made this one with some beads from the Adornable Elements Beads of the Month clubs. I have the Seed Bead Club, the 2-Hole Bead Club, and the Check Glass Club represented in this bracelet. There you go. Look at me putting on bracelets without struggling. I am going to do a little tutorial on how to make one of these. I probably will do it tomorrow though, because I am super done with being on camera. But yeah, it's just a little hook on the end. I made a little twisty on there. It's 18 gauge wire that I work hardened to keep the hook going. Then I bent it so that I can hold it against my palm and have this be next to my wrist. Like, it's gonna work for me. I added some beads to bling it up because, you know, why wouldn't I, right? So let me show you all of the bracelets that I made. I'm not gonna put them all on. So this was the one from Adornable Elements, and I used some 2-hole beads. You can see there. I put a post on the community tab for my channel with individual photos of each of these in case you miss it or you want a longer look. I also used some 2-hole beads from the curated collection. This was the May curated collection. The June one hasn't shipped out yet. So we've got those. I love that. I also made a bracelet using the Jessie James Beads Magical Mystery Bead Box. This one was the Modern Bohemian one with all of those neutral colors, some warm, relaxing colors, and I just loved all of these wood beads, and I love juxtaposing them, juxtaposition of having these sparkly beads right there with it. I think that that is just a super fun way of like having both of those together. And then I made a bracelet using some of the same type of beads that I used for my Gemstone Orphanage stuff. So it'll go together. And again, these were from the Gemstone Orphanage box, and we made those. I also remember those citrusy color beads that came in the dollar bead box. I made some of this as well, and I love these colors. They are bright and cheerful, and they make me want some sherbet. They really do. But yeah, this was actually a lot of fun to make this one. And then we have our seascape guys. There was this one. It was the Earth's Wonders. It was supposed to be the forest and the sea. And that was the Sam's Bead Box for May. I made that one. And then we had the Turtle Love box. And so with this one, I used some of these seahorse charms, and I used some of these starfish beads, and we got all of this. This was the Soft Flex design kit, and I know a lot of you got that one because it sold out so fast. It was a super popular design kit. And then we've got spoilers for the bargain bead box. If you haven't gotten yours and you don't want to be surprised, go ahead and turn away now, or just skip for like a minute to where I'm talking again so you don't see this. So spoiler alert, it's coming up. Here we go. This was the bargain bead box, and I love when we get some beads with this matte finish because it makes me think of sea glass especially. And so this was a really fun one to make with that one. And I think that was all. Nope, that was not all of them. There is also this one with the rainbow gemstones and the custom rainbow colored pearlesque chain that I got from the silver silk pop-up shop that Neely just put up. And so I think that's everything. That's all of the things that I made this week. It's been a pretty good week, you know? Like, I was just deflated a little bit, but I still was making things. I just wasn't doing it on camera, and I was just absolutely obsessed with what I was watching. I didn't want to turn the TV off and go video. So I'm done with that now. I'm back to being me. My mom may be familiar with that type of thing. Like, there were times when I would find a really good book that was unputdownable, and the only time she saw me was when I left the room to make a sandwich that I could then take back to my room to continue reading my book. And that's what that show is like. It was like reading a really, really good book. So I was doing that for a lot of not this last week, the week before that. But I'm back to normal. I'm back to actually getting a full night's sleep now, which is fantastic and amazing for me. I'm sure you can imagine. But yeah, so we are doing good here at the house. Everything is going great. I'm back in axe throwing, so I've got my league going on again. Doing well with that, having a lot of fun. We're actually off this week because there's some, the International Axe Throwing League stuff. So usually on Wednesdays, I have to, watch a live and then leave because it's how it works. But I might be able to actually watch more lives this week if there are any. So we'll see what happens. I might make a video instead and have that be there. We'll see what sort of inspiration hits for that. So, here's something that was a really interesting thing that happened to me this last week. My son and I got to talking, and I actually had mentioned, because he was telling me about some things where he was like, you take the good and then you take the bad, and then I interrupted him and I was like, you take them both and there you have the facts of life. And he just looked at me like I was insane. It was incredibly confusing for him because he's Gen Z and he did not grow up with television shows that told you the plot of the show in the theme song. He grew up with cartoons that did that, but not like shows meant for adults to consume. And so, I don't know, I just started singing all sorts of things for him. I got all the way to the minnow would be lost in Gilligan's Island before he was like, okay, from context, that's gotta be Gilligan's Island. I'm like, so you haven't seen it, right? And he was like, no, it's an old show, Mom. Why would I have seen it? And I realized that even though for me, Gilligan's Island wasn't a show that I watched while it aired because it wasn't airing at all by the time I was born, the incidence of like reruns and being able to watch something on like Nick at Night or something when I was, younger, a teenager, young adult, was more prevalent for me to be able to watch some of the shows that, were my parents' like field, something that they would watch during that time. Like, there were shows that were some of their favorites that they would watch, and we would watch with them because there was one television. So like the kids would get to watch that. And then, reruns meant that we would watch other things, and it's kind of different that with streaming, you'd think that a lot of the younger generation kids might have decided, oh, hey, I'll just see what this old show that they used to watch is all about. But they have so many other options available now that they're not going out of their way to find it. And the thing is, we didn't go out of our way. We would be homesick, and then we'd watch The Price is Right and maybe some Perry Mason. And, that's how it worked. Go to stay at my grandma's house, and they had 2 channels in the town that she was in. And usually there was like Matlock and, because she had a crush on James Garner too. So there was, what show was it that we would watch with him? And I don't know, but we watched that, Murder, She Wrote, and all these sorts of things, because, they were reruns, but they were things that she liked watching. But we'd watch whatever was airing, whatever was out there. It wasn't a you can pick and choose what's on sort of situation. And so, back then, there wouldn't be anything on, and so you'd flip over to Nick at Night and watch The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, even though it wasn't the 60s anymore. You know? And so, like, it wasn't something that you went out of your way to watch, but they were there and they were available. And because of that, you know, they're cultural touchstones that I can relate to more with, like, my parents' generation than my kids in their generation can relate to. So it's really interesting, really funny. And it's just strange how the way that media consumption has changed means that there are things that possibly, even though they're available on the internet and anybody can look them up, they're you know, lost to the ether sort of things that, you know, only some people might remember. And it's just because there's so much else out there now, and there's so many other ways of seeing it. It's not just something where you don't have anything better to do, so you turn on the TV and just it lands on whatever channel it's going to land on, and you'll watch whatever they program. You know, like, I don't watch things as they air because I'm just all about the streaming. For me, I get to choose what I watch. I don't have to sit through commercials sometimes if I'm not paying for a plan that includes commercials. And I kind of like a little bit some of the things where they're serializing some of the episodes, so you do still get like a new episode on Wednesdays, or you still get a new episode on Fridays or something like that. But it's not you have to be home at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday to watch it, and then either record it or something else if you can't. It's something where I can say, okay, I was out doing stuff on Wednesday. Thursday night's going to be my catch-up night, and I'm going to watch, you know, a couple of these shows that just dropped a new episode and do it that way. It's makes it a little bit easier, I think, to keep it straight. But then you also don't have to, like, just watch an entire season of something in a single weekend, and then you're like, okay, now what do I do with my life? Which happened to me a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, so you don't have that. I do like having, like, a new episode, but I like being able to watch it on my own terms. Anyway, I think a lot of times that's how it is sometimes with the YouTube videos too, is that, like, if we just publish them and we put them out there, you can watch it on your own terms anytime you want. It doesn't have to be the same day that it gets published. You can watch it next week. You can watch it, you know, later when you're able to, when you're feeling it, you know, and you can skip the things that you don't want to skip, or the things that you want to skip, the things that don't interest you. And so I like that about YouTube. I like that it gives you a little more control about what you're watching and when. So I like that, and I appreciate it. So what's going on for this coming week? Again, I'm not sure. I have not planned it out. And I'm kind of a little excited about that, but I'm also a little bit like, there's going to be a couple of unboxings just because that's the nature of keeping things current. There are things that are on their way to my house. So we'll get those out there probably. Again, the Sam's Bead box will be after the official unboxing. I've got a Potomac Beads unboxing that will be after their official unboxing, which I think actually is going to be tomorrow. I have to double check the dates so we can see what's going on with that. But yeah, there'll be a couple of those, but I really want to do more projects with the things that I have as well, because it's so much fun, and I love, it was an undertaking. That 9 bracelets, man, that was, I need to stick to like 5 max the next time. I had a 2.5 hour video on day 1, and then a 3-hour video on day 2. And boy, nobody will sit through like a 3-hour show. I mean, it's like Lord of the Rings, like, extended version. But I can't pick a favorite. I think this is super close to a favorite of mine, but I also really love this one. And I also really love this one. And they're so nice. I like them. You'll be seeing more of these on my wrist over the next few weeks because I like to wear some of the things that I make. That's why I make stuff, is so that I can wear them and they can be fancy and we can have fun with them. Anyway, I hope you all have had a great weekend. I hope you're going to have a fantastic week of making things. And you know, if things don't work out, try making something easy just to get that creativity back. Just something simple, something relaxing, something that you can just zen out with your making, and that might help get your creativity back. Be kind to yourselves, friends. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.